Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. So, this reading is about a relationship. I'm thinking there was a relationship where you possibly could have been with somebody, and this person was kind of longing, or they had desires for either someone or something else. Now, all of their desires seem to be stemming from their shadow side. The first card from my handmade deck that comes out, it says, the strongest weapon in the world is truth. And so even if somebody didn't tell you the truth, I feel like you already knew the truth. But the thing is about this connection, in the event that you were connected to somebody, you were in harmony, you were in a relationship, it's almost like they wanted something, right? And so they chased after the thing that they wanted, but unfortunately they lost the thing that they had. And I think the thing that they lost, it was the thing of you. But the experience with this person is the very thing that you needed in order to build and establish a firm foundation in your life. And so the reading says that almost, there was somebody who wanted to accelerate. They wanted to experience some type of accelerated motion in their life, but they weren't honest about it. Now we're going to clarify, but they weren't honest about the fact that they had these hidden desires. Now, when we're talking about hidden desires, this is somebody that could have been longing for something, meaning like they wanted some type of passion, some type of passionate experience, some type of fulfillment. And they felt like if they would feed their longings, or if they feed their desires, it would have kind of gotten them to the potential or the version of self, right? But again, when we're talking about the strongest weapon is truth, this somebody could have been very honest and bold about this. Maybe they could have been honest. Maybe they could have told you that they were in this connection with you, but they were desiring or longing for a different type of experience, or they could have hidden it from you. Now, whatever was lost for one, it actually created the positive change for another. And so I'm feeling like if you were tied to somebody who kind of stepped out because maybe they wanted just a different experience, I feel like this is what allowed you to build a firm foundation. But the foundation that you built, it would have been a firm foundation in yourself. And so somebody kind of abandons you, and I'm thinking in a very lustful way, but when they abandon you, it finally gives you a moment to kind of explore your own feelings, to explore your own nature. Any insecurities, any unresolved emotions that you carried, anything that stopped you from being authentic, anything that robbed you of your peace. It was almost like this experience was the culmination event that you needed in order to grow something inside of you. Now, one of the cards that showed up in our last reading, it shows up in the center of this reading. It says, what is of God's shines effortlessly, what is of seizure struggles to compare. And so the difference between you and this person is that you carry the light of the Most High inside of you. You shined effortlessly, but I feel like as long as you were tied to this person who seemed to be operating out of their shadow, maybe you would not have ever have known what was inside of you. And so I feel like there are certain situations or relationships that really take you to the depth of darkness, your own darkness, right? And it doesn't feel good to go through those experiences, but it's like finally when you go as deep as you could possibly go, you're like, oh, okay, so that's what's down here. This is what I've been neglecting. The only reason why I had the ability to call in an experience with somebody like you is because I carried some type of insecurities. Maybe I didn't know how to empower myself. Maybe I didn't know how strong I was. And so it's almost like somebody chased a want, and when they chased and went somewhere else, you were left with self. And it is in you being neglected, abandoned, or rejected that you found out something about self that you may have never have found out unless you went through this experience or this relationship or this connection. Now, after you build this firm foundation, we have the energy of the shadow. And it talks about you and this person kind of doing a shadow dance, meaning your shadow and their shadow. It's like you were kind of conversing with each other, even if you didn't know that this was really an experience for your shadow to evolve and your shadow to grow. I have a card here. It says, go heal or get dragged. Your choice. this could have been a relationship that was really about the growth of your shadow, but it was like it forced you to heal because emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, maybe it felt like you were getting dragged as long as you were tied to this person. Now, I do want to say something. Go heal or get dragged, your choice. Conjure Queen, one of her posts on her community page, it ended with this statement, and so I thought that the statement was powerful, and so that is where I told you some of my quotes come from people too, and so I know that this came at the end of one of her posts. She wrote, "Go heal or get dragged, your choice." And so I felt like this was a relationship that forced you to heal because you were essentially getting dragged. And I feel like it was your healing that was important because it was you who has the ability to effortlessly shine because of what you carry inside of you. This is somebody that could never compare to you. Now, you may not have seen them that way because a lot of times we have the ability to see people for their potential. Even if they are operating out of their shadow, sometimes we only see the elevated version of them because of the gifted eyes that we have and the sacred vision that we possessed. But this was a connection that forced you to heal. Now, it ends with your shadow blossoming, right? And so this person takes you to the depth of yourself. You feel pain that you've never felt before, but at the same time, you were finally able to bloom fully. And the only reason why you could bloom fully is because you possessed a certain amount of resilience, right? When you get to the bottom of self and it's extremely dark, all you can do is start to project light into those dark spaces that maybe you neglected, right? When we call in certain people, they are really reflecting back to us the energy that we carry. If this relationship or this connection did not unfold this way, there may have been aspects of self that would have remained hidden. And so this person takes you down to the darkest parts of you. You feel all of the feelings. You go through the mental thoughts. You go through it all. And it reveals something about you, and this is what propels you to this state of positively moving forward. And so this is I don't have a card out here that says twin flame, but it's like giving me the energy of the twin flame. And it's not necessarily about love, but this is about growth, right? This is somebody who their darkness matches the darkness in you. Even if you are not moving from that darkness, it is still in you, and in some ways it is limiting you, okay? So I also have one of my handmade decks, and it talks about the heart space. And so 2 times I see the energy of harmony. Your heart is about harmony. If you were to describe this person, this could have been a person whose heart was causing them some type of spiritual issues. It says this person may have been hard-hearted toward themselves. They could have been hard-hearted toward humanity and all of life. Like they just had, like it's almost like there was some type of barrier around their heart. They couldn't feel emotionally. Now you may have had a barrier, but when you go through an experience like this that shatters your heart, it's almost like this is what you needed to break that enclosure off of your heart that you may have built up throughout previous relationships in order to protect yourself. I also have the energy of operating from a place of greed at people's and the planet's expense. So this could have been a person who could never get enough. They could never fulfill themselves, and they only cared about themselves. So they were selfish as opposed to being selfless. Yes, and so that is how a distorted heart chakra could have shown itself in this person, right? But this is also the opposite. This is also what you needed to see in order to break off something in your heart space, okay? And so the reading ends with somebody wanting to accelerate their life, but the way they go about it, it was not necessarily clean, it was not truthful, it was honest. But all of this ends with this shadow dance that kind of develops you in a really beautiful way, even if it didn't feel beautiful. And I feel like it began as a spiritual experience, but when the relationship ends, it physically is going to allow you to move forward in a very positive way. And so there were parts of you that couldn't blossom. There were parts of you that couldn't grow. And this was the relationship that helped you unlock aspects of self, okay? That's what I'm seeing so far. I'm going to clarify. And so the first deck I'm going to use is Tarot. Intuitive Kev's Tarot deck. Do you guys hear that bird? All right, so the first card, oh, I got a lot there. The first card is going to clarify accelerated motion, which in traditional tarot, this would be like the Eight of Wands. Two of Swords. Two of Swords. Two of Swords is about being blinded. It's about being blinded in thought, not being able to think, not being able to find a way out. And so this could have been a situation where like you didn't have the truth, right? Like the weapon that this person used in order to keep you bound, in order to stop you from really having clarity about what was really happening in the darkness, is they could have lied. They could have kept information from you so that you would be stuck, so that you would be confused. You know, if the strongest weapon in the world is truth, and that they operate with something other, it's been like this person intentionally wanted to keep you blind from an aspect of self or from something that they were doing. The next card is going to come out on top of Harmony. So Harmony is essentially the Lover's card. And so this doesn't have to necessarily be an intimate connection. A lover is anybody that we choose to share our heart, our time, or like some type of relationship with, okay? So lovers can be family. It's somebody that we have a connection with. So on top of Harmony is passion. And so one of the things that you were blind to, one of the things that you didn't know, is that maybe this lover had a lust for passion. When they pursued this passion, they essentially lost you. But in order to protect themselves from losing you, they could have lied, they could have concealed something, they could have kept something hidden. The next card that comes out is going to come out on top of Firm Foundation. Now, Firm Foundation is like the Four of Wands. So this could be home, family, celebration. On top of Firm Foundation, we have Trash Box, which is essentially like a clown. And so, I mean, this is a clown, but this is like somebody who their foundation, it was like superficial. It was a joke. Like, you know, I mean, this is going bad. So on top of Shadow, we have Devil. So this is somebody who is in like devil energy, lust, desire. It's like they were bound. This could be addictions. This is like being bound to your lower nature and not being able to elevate beyond it. But again, if this is a person that put you in the Two of Swords, you may not have known all of this was going on behind the scenes. You may not have known that all of this was going on inside this person. Let me get one more. So can you imagine attempting to build a firm foundation with somebody who is considered to be a trash box? You know, this is somebody who hasn't done cleaning mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They're just cluttered, right? And so they wear this mask. It's like maybe this is just somebody who's kind of mimicking a version of themselves that does not even exist. The final card is the Nine of Pentacles. And so even though you began this reading, or even though you got into this relationship and you were blind, when all of this is said and done, you end up as the Nine of Pentacles, somebody who is self-sufficient, somebody who has the ability to fill their own cups. You operate in spiritual strength. This is somebody that emotionally, you know how to take care of yourself. You really don't rely on anybody outside of you. You don't need the validation. You don't need people to watch you and co-sign and say amen, right? You've already made it past the nights of anxiety, of being fearful, right? And so now when you get to the Nine of Pentacles, it's like I've done all of this work. And so finally, because I can show up for myself in the way I do, I have the ability to manifest my own abundance. And so this is almost like the thing or the event or the connection that made you your greatest version of self. But in order to get there, you had to go through a good amount of darkness. All right, so that is the end of that deck. Now I'm going to use this deck to clarify my homemade deck. Now, the first card that we're going to clarify is the strongest weapon in the world is truth. Now, on top of that, we have conflict, which is disputes, quarreling, indifference. This is somebody that could have wanted to keep you blind. They didn't want you to see something. They didn't want you to think something. They wanted you to be confused. And so one of the ways they kept you confused from figuring out the truth is like, this is somebody who's always toxic, somebody who's arguing, somebody who's always trying to pick fights, right? And as long as they can keep you emotionally invested in some type of chaos or toxicity, it's like you'll never be able to sort through. You'll never be able to find your way through to figure out what's really going on. And so this is somebody who honestly is extremely selfish. It's like they want you, but they also recognize that maybe they don't have all of the tools that they would need in order to sustain you, in order to protect you. It's like they know they're not good enough, not because they can't be, but because they haven't mastered themselves enough to kind of show up in the appropriate way. But they don't want you to go anywhere. So they hide the truth and they cover it up with conflict. Or this is some person that acts like, you know, I can't move forward with you. I can't accelerate in this relationship with you because I'm confused. I'm conflicted. I'm going through all of this. But the reality is they weren't going through anything. They were fulfilling their own desires and their own temptations, and they weren't being honest with you about it. I haven't really gotten a reading like this before, y'all. Alrighty. So the next card I pull, it's going to clarify you got what you wanted, but you lost what you had. And the energy is overloaded. And so this is about somebody feeling overwhelmed, somebody feeling obligated. This is like they bit off more than they can chew. And so whatever this passion was that they were lusting after, whatever this passion was that they were chasing after, it brought them no relief. It taxed them. It exhausted them. It burdened them. And so whatever they had to do in order to maintain or fulfill whatever this thing was that they jumped into, it burdened them more than they knew. It burdened them more than they knew. But listen, if this is about shadow energy, if this is about devil energy and being bound to things, you know, this is very much about their growth at the same time. And so they thought that they were going to follow this passion or this urge, this lust, this desire in order to bring themselves relief. But the reality is they just spiraled down some kind of rabbit hole and it exhausted them. They had to pay a tax for this. And listen, when we have the energy of being obligated, right? And so they blinded you so that they could go experience some type of passion-filled relationship with somebody else. But it was almost like they really imprisoned themselves in this. Like they couldn't break free. Now, okay, we'll pull another one. So the card I pull next is going to come out on top of what is of God's shines effortlessly. What is of the seizure struggles to compare. So listen, this person possibly wanted to build a firm foundation with somebody that they thought was like this specimen of desire. Like, I've always desired you. I've always wanted, like this person checked off every box. But then they realize, oh my God, you are a trash box. You are a clown. You don't even compare, right? And so it was like they had to lose you, but they had to chase something that they desired. And once they finally get in good, comfortable, like, oh, so you're of seizure and I just walked away of something that was from God. And so this person couldn't compare to you. But unfortunately, they chased this trash box. They chased this clown. And this could have been somebody that was really dolled up or made up, or like, you know, clowns don't reveal who they naturally are. And so this could have been somebody that was wearing like a super mask. Not that they looked like a clown, but you almost had to, like, the only way you were going to know that this was a trash box or a clown is if you got close enough, as if you experienced to recognize, like, oh my God, that stuff comes off. And so this could be somebody who is extremely superficial, but maybe somebody was blinded by passion, and so they didn't recognize that that was a makeup, that was a wig, that like this was just a costume. You were never really who you presented to be, but they had to follow it. They had to in order to see themselves, right? But one of the reasons why they followed this clown or this trash box, one, they thought they could build a firm foundation, but at the same time, this was about gaining. right? And so listen, anybody that chases lust, right? First, you're chasing something outside of self. And so there's a level of superficialness that you already carry and exist in. But at the same time, they thought that this was going to give them some type of profit. They thought that they were going to be able to cultivate something. They thought that this was like going to give them what they always wanted or desired. Like this was the conclusion they needed in order to build a firm foundation. And so maybe they didn't see something in you because maybe they didn't have if they only looked at you from the perspective of lust, desire, and passion, it's almost like they couldn't see all of the other assets that you brought to the table. And that is fine. And so they chase after what visually or what physically stimulates them, only to find out that it leads them nowhere. But it also allows them to see you in the proper light. It allows them to see you in the proper perspective. So the next card that I pull, it says, go heal or get dragged, your choice. Now, illness. And so the very thing that they chased because they felt like it would give them some type of gain, listen, I only burp and belch when I'm reading. And I know y'all have probably heard readers say that. And I just hear them call it a spiritual burp. But like, that's the only time this happens. So this is somebody who was in devil energy. They were only operating out of their shadow. And because they didn't heal, it's like they jumped into the bed with devil. They just went head first into their shadow, but it wasn't because they wanted to heal. So unfortunately, they got dragged. This same person is feeling fragile. They're feeling weak. And we also have the energy of disease. So God forbid if they caught something physically. It doesn't always have to be an STD, or it could be, but sometimes STD, instead of a sexually transmitted disease, it could be a sexually transmitted demon. Like they could have picked up something spiritually, which now has them weakened. The next card I pull is going to talk about this person had because of how unbalanced their heart chakra was, the way it spiritually impacted them is they could have been hard-hearted towards self. This is somebody that could have been cold and bitter because they had a certain amount of grief. They had a certain amount of unforgiveness inside of them, right? And so they don't have anything to give. They only look at people, places, and things in order to see, what can I take from you? It's like they're trying to fill a void, but they're a jerk, they're an asshole, they're brute, they're arrogant, right? And so this next card is going to come out, and it's always at the other person's expense. They don't care what impact their behavior has on you. They're just trying to fill a void. They are just trying to get from day 1 to day 2. Whoever they have to step on in order to get there, they're willing to do it. The next card I pull is going to clarify the fact that their heart chakra impacted their ability to experience true harmony. All right, we'll get one card from this deck. This is embarrassing. I feel like the energy of this person, like right now, today, is embarrassing because they recognize that if they would have just moved forward with you, you were the 9 of Pentacles, but they couldn't see or sense you because their shadow was so loud. And so their shadow was screaming at them. And the very thing that they thought would have brought them gain, it only brought them weakness. It only brought them sickness and illness. So we have confinement. Now confinement, now this could be jail, but it can also be mental. So this is like somebody who's now trapped in their mind, and they're only trapped in their mind because they can finally see you clearly. And it's like they walked away from the bag and they jumped in the bed with a hag. Like, you know what I mean? But like that hag was looking beautiful. Like it was looking like everything. It was looking like a bag of money, but it was a hag, right? And so this confinement, it talks about captivity, tolerance, not being free, but it's about their heart. Their heart was always captive. Maybe you have their heart. You know, after going through this experience and ending up in some type of illness or being weak as a result of the devil tendencies of their shadow energy, it's like now their entire heart is bound to you. Now you're coming out in the energy as somebody who is making positive movement forward. So this totally can be a connection that is behind you. And so you may not know that this person emotionally feels bound to you. And so this was the experience that kind of had to propel you forward in your power, but this also would have been the experience that got somebody to wake up to their dark nature. Alrighty. And so you healed, which is why you get to move forward. This somebody chose not to heal, and so they essentially get dragged. And so they get dragged through their darkness. They get to experience their dark ways, their dark tendencies. They're living in darkness. And so now this is like, now they are forced to heal because of how awful this feels. So the first card is going to come out and clarify hidden desires. Hidden desires is like that longing for passion, that longing for like something needs to be fulfilled, but they're really longing for healing, but they don't have the abilities, they don't have the awareness to recognize that the very thing I'm longing for is because I need to heal my heart. But the only way they know how to heal their heart, because of lack of maturity, experience, and wisdom, is to get this like to get a fix that is very superficial, or to get a fix that the world approves of, right? And so you pick people because of how they look. You pick people because of how they make you look or how they make you feel. But this is an entire clown. This is somebody that is attached to seizure as opposed to somebody that is attached to the Most High. And so the card that comes out on top of hidden desires, it says, if you want peace, prepare for war. This situation could have felt like war. In order for you to break away from this relationship, maybe you had to go to war. For a period of time, maybe you went to war with yourself. And if you went to war with yourself, it's probably because this was a situation that Two of Swords you. It blinded you. You didn't have clarity in thought. You couldn't make a decision, but it's because somebody conflicted the truth. It's like you couldn't see the truth. Somebody made it very hard for you to see the truth of what was really taking place. But that was their intention, because I don't think they really wanted to lose you. It's like they wanted to keep you, but they also wanted to fulfill a desire. So the next card that comes out is going to come out on top of positive change. This was the very relationship that could have led to your ascension. This is the relationship that could have led to your evolution. And in the event that you had some type of shadow energy, this is the connection that freed you from it. The next card, listen. It says, fall down 7, get up 8. Rise, determined, unbreakable. This could have been a relationship that literally pulled you down 7 times. But when you got up that 8th time, you were like, no more. Right? Now, this is also the relationship, like this experience, feeling overwhelmed, chasing this passion, got this person to feel overwhelmed. They got what they wanted, but they lost what they had. But this is also the relationship that is going to drag this person down 7 times. Do they have the strength to get up the 8th time in order to positively change? Meaning, like, can they finally rid themselves of this lustful nature, of these desires that only lead them, you know, to the pits of their own darkness? So you cannot be broken. You cannot be broken. And I feel like when you walk away for a period of time, this person is broken. But can they rise like you were forced to rise? So this card, it says, fuck what they say. Verbal abuse, lies. This comes out on top of explore feelings. Delve into insecurities and unresolved emotions. Now I'm almost feeling, okay, this person, this trash box that was full of passion and that looked like a beautiful gift turned out to be somebody. It's like somebody gives you a gift or a box that is beautifully wrapped, beautiful paper. It's got a beautiful bow, but when you open it, there's trash in it. But based on the packaging, you just knew you were going to gain something. You knew it had value, but inside you're recognizing this is all lies, you know? And then we have verbal abuse. So this could have been somebody that was the person that they chased. It could have been somebody with an unkind tongue or a tongue that wasn't trained. you know? And I almost feel like the person that they chased was actually the person who was a better reflection of who they were. This person matched them energetically. And as long as you would have stayed there, it's almost like they wouldn't have had to grow because you didn't have enough shadow in you to give them the full version of who they really were. And so they almost had to go meet somebody that possessed the same level, if not more, of darkness and devilish tendencies. The next card I pull is going to clarify shadow dance. When you move shadows, you discover your rhythm. This is about fluidity, this is about movement, and this is about finally getting open. Receiving a gift. Now, this is not funny, but the shadow dance that this person was doing, the gift that they received, I'm really feeling like this could be some type of attachment, right? They thought that they were going to get gain. They thought that they were going to get finances, but it's almost like they got the gift of illness. That's what I mean. When you finally open it, it's all trash inside. You know, imagine somebody wrapping up trash and giving it to you. That's essentially what this person chased. A trash box, thinking that it had gems or wealth or abundance inside. Damn. And so the only thing that they really gained was seeing their own weakness, possibly disease. And then finally, this comes out on top of shadow blossom. It says you need both sunlight and darkness to bloom fully. So this is about resilience. It says no honor among thieves, cannot be trusted, corruption, criminals, robbery, extortion, foolish plans, fraud, and scandal. That is what they got. That was the gift. So the person that they chased that looked like a beautiful gift turned out to be a thief just like them. If not worse, they were with somebody who they couldn't trust, which is why they are trapped mentally and emotionally when they think about you. You could be gone, right? But this person had to get dragged because they refused to heal when they were with you. And so they could have abandoned you and essentially walked into some type of trap. This was a trap that their shadow created in order to get them to grow, in order to get them to evolve. No honor among thieves. This is awful, y'all. This is awful. And so listen, now that I see this card, no honor among thieves, fraud, scandal, extortion, corruption, criminals, all of this can honestly lead to jail. And so now confinement can honestly mean jail now. Like, not only did this situation emotionally drag them, but like their physical world can even have been destroyed. Like, this is a level of corruption that impacts them on every level. Emotionally, spiritually, mentally, but also physically, it manifested in their world. Damn. All right, y'all. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.